Good morning, everybody. Let's take a look at our trade plan from yesterday. Looks like we haven't moved too much on the pre-market here, so we are trading as a inside profile. Pretty D-shaped, pretty balanced so far. You haven't finished that rotation back into the value high, so it's kind of stalling a little bit early. It did stall around the POC of yesterday. And now we are coming back down, so a little bit of a bearish bias, not much. So yesterday we said holding above the value low of yesterday, we're going to look for that value high around 80, and then look for the value low of Monday, which is that 95. Now that still is pretty much what we're looking for. If it does hold below that 30, we're looking for the 35 value level, and the next value level would be 17, but we could raise that up. We could raise that into that prior low, so like 94. And then we'll say 65.35 for the lower level. Alright, so slight bearish bias. We do have an inside profile looking for the value low of yesterday to see who kind of controls the day. Pretty much identical on NASDAQ. We did not finish that rotation back into the value high, so there's a slight bearish bias here. A little bit of a failure to rotate. You're failing the POC of yesterday. So level to watch is that value low of yesterday at 557. Below that, it would be around, let's say that prior low. Prior low is 376. And then we don't really have any value until we get down to that 24,000 level. So you have quite a ways to fall there. Holding above the value low of yesterday goes into a retrace back into that value high. That's 798. And then the value low of Monday, which is 948. Looks like that bearish bias is still holding into the open here. Keep an eye on that 30-minute low around 41. A little bit of a sweep on the open. We are right on VWAP, so VWAP is right around 45. 612 on NASDAQ, so they're kind of battling over VWAP right on the open here. Yeah, Nerd, I was seeing somebody in chat, they were saying they were having Apex issues earlier. So I think it's not just you. Good morning, Future, Ordinary, Michael, Music, Marcel. Good morning, Trevor. Here is the trade plan for you guys. Lubomir W, Tachi, Jose, Patriot, Morris, Ranger, Darius, Igor. Good morning, eBay, Faraj. Jeremy, Lulu, Larry, Egan, JC, Adam, Mauser, Estevan. 2013, Brad, Ken, Scott, Michael. Good morning, Greg. Good morning, Nerd, AT, DS. Apex site has been up and down since the Cloudflare issue. Gotcha. Good morning, Boat, Bance. Hey, W, I appreciate that. Good morning, River. I think you have until Monday, Nerd. I don't think it ends today. I believe it's until Monday. Yeah, 24th. Okay, bouncing off a point of origin here, trying to get back above this VWAP. You are still rotating inside of today and yesterday's value. A little bit of an inside day. Keep an eye on today's value high around 700. And around 659 on ES. How is liquidity? It's a lot better than yesterday, but it's still a little low. Yesterday was like 10 contracts a tick. We have like 20 to 30, it seems like, today. You're not seeing as many level 2 orders, but you are still seeing quite a bit. So right now we're just respecting today's value. We haven't really started testing yesterday's value high or value low. That'd be a bit further away, so like 630 and 680. About a 50-point range. Today's range is about a 20 to 30-point range for our value area. More Lucio, Vivian, Victor. We have reclaimed VWAP here. So here comes the value high of today, and the value high of yesterday goes to around 80. A lot of buyers around 58 here. A little bit of absorption up here. You had a lot of delta on that high, and it's not being protected anymore. I marked out a couple of point of origin levels at the start of today, and we've already tested 2 of them with pretty strong wicks. We had that prior low at 4 a.m., and we had that prior high around like 9 a.m. Basically anything in this 50-point range here, from 80 to 30, we're just trading inside of yesterday's value. It doesn't surprise me that today is an inside day because we do have NVIDIA earnings after the closing bell. And we also have FOMC in the afternoon. It's a FOMC minutes, so it's not a really big meeting. But people are possibly waiting on that data coming out. So if it is going to break out, it would probably be an afternoon breakout today. We'll see. They're reclaiming that node earlier that was slightly absorbed. You had a bunch of delta coming in at 55 to 60. And they were not holding on to that node. It was being a little bearish, right? But now they are protecting that node bullishly. We're not quite finding a node above it just yet. But it is acting as a support node. This is the overnight high. It was formed around 6 a.m. We've been seeing some very wide initial balances, mostly from the A session. But our first hour has been a very wide range. So far, we already have a 40-point range. Looks like a wall at 70 here. Yeah, definitely a wall at 70. Finally got taken out by a block trade there. You can see when you're hitting a wall, you're not trading a single tick above it, right? You have all this delta building up on one single tick. You can see it on the tape as well. It just keeps hitting 70, 70, 70, 70. Good morning, Olive. Holding above the ADMA damn near every single candle today. We are approaching yesterday's value high around 80, so keep an eye on that. We'll see if we get some kind of delta flip around that level. Yeah, I heard Gemini has been doing really good on like comparing AI programs to each other. They've been scoring very high. They're one of the better ones, I believe. I don't think I've ever used them. No, this stream is not for live trading. It's not for signals or anything like that. Even the base model blew ChatGPT 5 out of the water. Yeah, I haven't used it. I need to try it out. Okay, if we are going to see bearish delta, we need to see it now. This is the value high of yesterday. So if they want to maintain this as either a neutral day, as like an inside day, or a bearish day, they would need to find bearish delta up here. If they do not, they are starting to get into the value of Monday, and holding above that value low is very dangerous for the sellers because that is a very wide value retrace. So they need to sell this within the next like 10 points from 80 to 90. Same thing on NASDAQ. It needs to sell between like 800 and like 940, 950. If they want to be bearish, right? Like if the bears are going to come back in and make this neutral or make this still bearish on the higher time frames, right? This is a very bullish move. We are staying above the ADMA every single candle, basically since the open. So I'm not saying it will sell here. I'm just saying if the sellers want to take control, it basically has to be right here. They are doing a fantastic job building nodes and building value as they are pushing up. It's not very extended. This is a very healthy move. You put a major node around 52, major node with the POC around 70, major node right here at 80. Yeah, most of the AI programs haven't really caught up with like coding trading indicators or anything like that. It's kind of a complex world. I was testing out Copilot with, what is it called, Claude or something like that, and they're pretty good. If you know the coding language, like if you know how to fix the little mistakes that it makes, it does pretty good. Yeah, like I said, I'm not saying to sell here. I'm not saying this is bearish. I'm saying that if it wants to maintain that D shape inside day, it has to sell around the value high. I'm not saying I'm pressing the sell button up here. This is a very bullish move. If the sellers have been waiting for a level, this is the level they're waiting for, is my point. If you're blindly selling this, you're stepping in front of a train, basically. This move is ridiculously bullish. I mean, look at the delta coming in. It's kind of insane. Not very often that we see every single 1 minute candle holding above the ADMA. And it's doing that since the opening candle, basically since the bell. 5 minute is breaking the prior bar high every single candle. You have not lost a 5 minute low so far today. This is actually getting a little ridiculous. The A session is already 60 points wide. Well, it's like I said earlier, if they hold below that value high and they see a bunch of sell pressure there, then it's going back into a D-shaped balance. Look at these volume nodes it's building on the way up. Putting in massive nodes. This node is trying to be a resistance node, but it's not holding too long. If you guys are trailing right now, you're pretty happy. There is no break of a trail so far. Even the most aggressive trail at the 80 MA is being held on to. The 5-minute low trail is still being held. Damn near the 1-minute low trail. The 80 MA, the 24 EMA. I mean, you name it. There's not like a single trail being broken right now. This is what we've been talking about all week, about how if the buyers are going to protect this daily trail, if they're going to protect these higher time frame levels, they need to do it very, very soon, because they are basically sitting on a cliff. We are very close to being a sell-only market. These buyers need to start getting extremely aggressive to protect these higher time frames. Daily trail is actually flipping today. It has not locked in. You would have to have a pretty serious green day to break that. That might flip. We'll see. Weekly trail was coming up as support. Weekly trail at 65.05. We have not had a red trail since February. Another beautiful opening pivot. We saw an opening pivot on the low a day, damn near like what? 3 days in a row? I think it was yesterday and Monday. Look at these nodes. Building a node at 90 already. So now we're getting into the value low of Monday. So if we hold above this level, it starts a very large value retrace going back to 87. I mean, this is just kind of crazy. Look at the delta and price trend here. Yeah, I wouldn't say it has too much to do with VIX. Today is Nvidia earnings, and the tech companies are going crazy. I mean, if you look at the Nvidia chart, it's pretty much NASDAQ chart to a T. And look at Google chart as well. It's kind of insane. Google is up 6.2%. Nvidia is up about 3.5. Good morning, Trent. Yeah, we do have single prints to the upside from the last couple of days. We have some going up to 712 and then way up around 815. I mean, it's almost an hour past the open, and we don't have a single 1-minute candle trading below the ADMA. It's kind of crazy. We are finally starting to pressure that ADMA here. Keep an eye on the first retest of that 24. 24 is at 86 and 86, 862 on NASDAQ. Funny enough, they're lining up on the same number. It's going to be hard to beat that POC because there was a big wall at that 70 level trading over 3,000 contracts. Still not closing below the ADMA. Very, very aggressive here. Very early to say, but keep an eye on that 30-minute close. You will have single prints going down to 95. So we had a couple of single prints from Monday going up to about 14 or 15. Above that, we have a value level at 724, which I actually have to update our trade plan. We've already taken out all of our targets. So next upper targets would be 724 and 46. You could also say the single print around like 12. For NQ, let's say I'd say like 980 and 156. I mean, look at the 5-minute lows. We basically have not lost a 5-minute low the entire day. You had a tiny doji here, which should have been easy to break, right? And you had a break of that 5-minute low, turn into a sweep. There is just no sustained sell pressure right now. Come on, Roma. This is what it looks like when the higher time frame traders take over, right? The low time frames don't stand a chance. These are the daily traders trying to protect a macro support. So now on the higher time frame, obviously short term, this is pretty bullish up to like 6,800, 6,770, 6,800. But on the higher time frame, we have shown a lower high and a lower low. So this bounce back is extremely important. If they sell this retest over the next couple of days, if they even make it back here, don't be fooled. This is still bearish, right? So this retest is extremely important now. Momo flattened out at 952, and it has not budged. Five-minute pinch as well. And we are now repairing the afternoon break of Monday. All right, we're about halfway through this candle. Keep an eye on 95. Anything above 95 will create single prints. They still have about 12 minutes to repair that candle, so we'll see. Bearish block trade, 1,000 contracts at 704. Is this the first back-to-back bearish delta? I believe it is. Yeah, this is the first time we've had back-to-back bearish delta candles. We'll see if it can actually hold below the 80 MA this time. And it's not even going red. It's actually flipping back to being green. They can't even maintain 1,000 delta to the downside. That's kind of crazy. It's a little bit worrying that they're doing this before the earnings even come out. That's probably the nastiest candle they've had all day. Little gravestone candle in the 5-minute. Putting in a long top wick. What caused this rally? The tech companies are running, Nvidia and Google. The same old, same old. They have some kind of headline about a partnership or yada yada, right? It's the same thing we've been seeing the last, like, year or two. Some kind of partnership between the top, like, 10 companies, and they start running. Okay, keep an eye on this 24 EMA retest, first retest of this entire move. If you don't see a lot of bullish delta coming in here on the 24, it's probably looking for VWAP. Also, notice what they're doing. I said 95 multiple times earlier about that single print level, right? So if they hold above 95, they're going to create single prints for whatever the difference is. So if they're up 10 points, you're going to create 5 single prints, right? If they're below 95 or right on 95, they will not create any single print, so they're perfectly repairing that candle right now. Hey, Sniper, have a good day. All right, one more minute to decide if we have any single prints here. Right now it is perfectly repaired. Yeah, Roma, no problem, man. So right now they are not liking the value low of Monday. Not a great 30-minute close. A little bit of a top doji here. Keep an eye on that 30-minute low. They did create one single print. Going down to 95. Getting a ton of bearish block trades up here. Another 1,000 contracts at 97. That single print is filled in, by the way. If it stays below this 24, watch the daily VWAP at 80. Keep an eye on VWAP here. VWAP at 80 on ES and 830 on NASDAQ. You're finally getting a bearish cluster. You finally have a zone of like consistent bearish delta going from 96 down to like 89. This top doji was not the greatest candle for the buyers. Pretty long top wick, nearly a sweep. And now we are losing that 30-minute low. You're front running VWAP a little bit here. This is kind of where the value low of this node would be. If you think about this node as kind of a value area, the low would be basically here around like 90 to 88. And the value high would be where the value high already is. So around like 709. Still holding below that 30-minute low. So as long as you can stay below 90, just keep an eye on those VWAPs. You have 80 and then 67. Here comes that VWAP. Keep an eye on 81 here. This is also yesterday's value high, so re-losing this goes back into yesterday's value retrace. Here's VWAP. Good morning, Adriana. Very consistent bearish delta on this candle. It started with that block trade at 96, and it's basically been going down all the way to the low of the candle. Pretty stable trend on the downside here, staying below the ADMA the entire time. If they don't have a reaction to this VWAP, you're going to start holding into yesterday's value, so it's looking pretty bearish. Last thing that could help you is the session VWAP. All right, no reaction on the daily VWAP. Keep an eye on the session VWAP coming up at 68 on NASDAQ 743. Very consistent bearish delta. Look at how red the tape is on the large tape here. Look at the flip here on the large tape. At around 1025, we went from being almost entirely green to almost entirely red. The last 25 minutes, the large orders have been almost entirely bearish. Very consistent downtrend here, just as consistent as the uptrend, holding below the ADMA the entire time. Here comes that session VWAP. Keep an eye on it. We'll keep an eye on the delta reaction on VWAP here. No delta reaction on the session VWAP so far. This is pretty impressive. The downtrend is just as consistent as the uptrend. You just go to the dashboard and go to the chart section. It's like add chart or something like that. Oh, do you mean like how to overlap them? If you want to overlap them, you just drag the chart on top of each other. And it gives you like a prompt. Just drag the charts on top of each other, basically. You were away for 30 minutes. Yeah, if you were away for 30 minutes, the day completely changed. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, roll over top, you had a sweep. The delta is just kind of flipping. No delta reaction on the session VWAP so far. Here's the session VWAP on NASDAQ. Yeah, very clean on both sides. It's actually kind of crazy. It's not usually this clean on the reversal side. It's all just about confluence, like how many signals are happening together. I talk about that quite a lot in the new series. So we failed the value low of Monday, back into the value high of yesterday, which is now starting a value retrace of yesterday that could go back down to about 600 or maybe like 550. Same thing with ES, failing the value low back test, back into the value high of yesterday. You've already finished about maybe a third or half of the value retrace, going back into 50 or 30. That is not a great reaction. Looks like the high time frame sellers are still in control. Mauser, you asked me about gold, like, wasn't it this week? And I gave you an answer? Or, like, was it Friday? So, yeah, I'd say I comment on it. There's just nothing really changing on gold recently that I need to really commentate on. You have nearly a perfect 50% retrace on that pullback, which is hitting that VWAP that we talked about. I think it was earlier this week or last week. I told you guys about this VWAP starting from that low in August. Right now we have a pretty standard bull flag bouncing off the 50% and the 38.2. So you would have to stay pretty consistently above 4,400 for this to matter at all. But right now you're just in a distribution, which could go on forever. Gold distributes for a very long time. You had a distribution for like, I think it was like 2 years or something crazy. Yeah, what was this one here? Yeah, it was like 4 years. You had a distribution for like 4 years and we finally broke out of it. Not seeing any delta reaction on the session VWAP now. This is actually incredible how strong of an uptrend we had. And now we have equally as strong of a downtrend, giving up that entire move. Keep an eye on that value low of Tuesday, going back to 630. Yeah, have a good day, Sniper. So now pretty much everything that I said on the upside, just flip that to the downside. Holding below the ADMA, keep an eye on those trails, the 24, keep an eye on the 5-minute highs, keep an eye on the 30-minute highs. 5-minute highs have not been taken out since the top. That candle that I talked about at the time, I said this was the nastiest candle of the day so far, that 5-minute gravestone. You had a long top wick, turned into a top doji on the 30-minute, lost the 30-minute low. You have not lost a 5-minute high since then. If you don't remember that candle, it's this candle right here. Very strong candles all the way up. You had one little sign of weakness, that doji right there, which did break. But then after that, you had that gravestone candle, very long wick. And now we're just one time framing bearishly back into that value retrace of yesterday. Still holding below the 80 MA here. Tried to bounce back to the 24 there. Sold pretty much immediately. They are struggling to find some aggressive sellers on this low here. You're not getting a lot of delta on this push down. 2 more nitro. Where'd you see that, Ordinary? I didn't see that headline. Keep an eye on the backtest of VWAP here. You backtested it once already, and it did sell. Turning into a 30-minute low sweep here. It's bouncing a little bit early. It did not finish that retrace of the value low of yesterday. You're finishing the retrace of today. Value low of today is being bounced almost to the exact tick. Retrace of yesterday is 630. Same thing on NASDAQ, bouncing off today's value, not yesterday's. It's selling the backtest of VWAP again. Well, you can't really make that argument, Mauser. If you look at back in like November of 24, we were trading about like what 60 or 70k. It went to 120k. So making that argument is like massively hindsight. The 500 million was just outflows from iBit. Yeah, I heard they had like I think it was like the largest. I think Dime was telling me this the other day. I'm trying to remember what he said. He said like the absolute top of crypto was when they were putting out the headlines of like iBit and the other ETFs getting like the highest inflows they had. And then it started topping. Yeah, but Mauser, that's exactly how markets work. I mean, look at Nvidia. Like look at the earnings, the moves today, right? That's exactly how markets work. They anticipate, they price ahead. I don't think anybody would say, without being extremely biased, I don't think anybody would say crypto had a bad year. The only people that would say crypto had a bad year are the people that did not make any money on the way up. And I've seen this almost every single time that crypto has a crazy run. And I go on this rant like every single time that this happens, because it happens every single time. Every time crypto has a crazy run up, people miss the run. They make the argument that crypto was negative or it was a scam or XYZ was bad for crypto, yada, yada, yada. And it's like I don't understand how that argument is being made when crypto went up 100% or 200% or 300%, whatever it did that year. Like I said, this argument happens every single time crypto has a run. Something makes crypto go up, and then something makes crypto go down, and people argue that whatever made crypto go up is not the reason why it went up. And if you guys don't believe me, save this VOD, and we will talk about this next time it happens in a year or two. It's like Groundhog Day. I've had this argument 100 times already. Basically, since I was streaming in 2018, we've had how many cycles? And it happens every single cycle. And I'm not even like 100% defending the fact of like Trump's administration being bullish for crypto or bearish for crypto. I'm just defending the argument of what I just talked about, where no matter what the reasoning is that makes crypto go up, every time it goes down in that cycle, people always try to say that reason was not true. And it's like, well, that's kind of hindsight. It was true for about a year or 2 years. It was true for about 100% or 200%. And now that it's not true, people are changing their tune. It's like, imagine if the market crashed right now and everyone was like, yeah, I told you AI wasn't good for the market. I told you AI wasn't bullish. It's like, I don't know about that one, Chief. AI was bullish for 2 years or 3 years. I just don't like when people change their tunes, right? If you stand by something, stand by it. I forget what that fallacy is called. It's like circular logic or something like that, where you're using like new information to completely change your argument from your argument that you had 6 months ago or a year ago or whatever it was. There's a fallacy in there. Like, oh, you were wrong a year ago because of this information that I just got today. That's not how that works. Red herring? No, I don't think it's a red herring. Yeah, it's like circular logic or something like that. Backwards rationalization. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. Yeah. It happens every time in every cycle. Exactly. That's why I'm ranting about it. It's not even to do with your argument, Mauser. It's just like this happens every single time. No matter what makes crypto go up, people will always say that it wasn't the reason we went up or it was bearish the entire time. And it's mostly just people they're just mad that they missed the move. It happens in literally everything. It happens in housing, it happens in tech, it happens in, I mean, you name it. You name a market, it happens in that market. People are mad they missed the move, so they come up with all this rationalization on why the move is bullshit. It's like people who have been waiting for a housing crash since 2008 because they haven't bought a home in the last few years, right? Like, oh, the housing market's going to crash. It's going to crash. It's going to crash. It's going to crash. They're going to keep saying that for years, right? It just goes back to the argument that I always have about perma bears. There's always a rationalization for them. They can always make it make sense. This is just the end of the cycle. It happens every single time. I was literally having this conversation with one of my normie friends this weekend because he was joking about he was losing some money in crypto. And I was like, well, I literally did tell you that this was the top of the cycle. And there are times to buy and there are times to sell. And this would be the time to sell, right? When you're at the top of a cycle. You're not a buyer at the top of a cycle. But he didn't listen to me and he thought it would go higher, so he bought the top basically. And I was trying to tell him that like it doesn't even matter if I said like, hey, this is kind of the top of the cycle, it's a time to be a seller, not a buyer, and then it goes higher. It's like, okay, well, you're playing a probabilities game. Would you want to buy something that's up 100% or would you want to buy something that's down 80%? The probability of you being right is much, much higher if you're buying something that's down 40, 60, 80% and not something that's up 100 to 200% over the last year or so, right? In terms of like crypto, when you have this 3-year cycle. How long was our cycle this time? I think it was about 3 years. Let me see. So from when we were going down to when we were going up, let's see. The absolute top was in 2021. It went down for about a year or so, about 2 years. When was it? November 21. The bottom was December 22. And then from the bottom, we were about 2 to 3 years. Yeah. So it's about a 3-year cycle. So very standard, nothing crazy. Yeah, he is a normie. Any of my friends that are not involved in trading, which are basically all of my friends, they are normies, right? Normies are people that they get into like investing or trading or whatever, they talk about trading, but they're not like us. They're not sitting in front of a computer for 8 hours a day staring at rectangles. Your family members who ask you about the market, they're normies, right? They're not in the trading world. Yeah, HC, they're having problems. They've been having problems since the Cloudflare thing. Cloudflare, whatever it is. What do you do for a living? I stare at rectangles. Yeah, literally. Yeah, I don't like lying to people, like when they ask like what I do for a living, but I hate giving them the real answer because then it just, you guys know it gets into this whole talk of like, oh, what should I buy right now? Or like what the normie conversation. I cannot stand the normie conversation. The normie conversation of like what's good to buy, and they want you to be a financial advisor like right on the spot. The last person I had that conversation with was actually my landscaper, and he was asking me that the normie conversation about like uh, what's good to invest in, and I was telling him that exactly the argument that I just had with you guys. We are kind of at the top of a cycle, right? And that I told him about that with crypto and gold and stocks, like literally everything. Almost the entire ecosystem is at the top of a cycle right now, where you are better off waiting or being a seller than you are being a buyer, right? And that was almost the Pico top. That was almost the exact top on gold and crypto. So hopefully they listened. Like I said, you just have to think about it as a probabilities game. Like, yes, we could go higher, but what are the odds of what protects my money better? Like, well, can I be a seller here, like selling investments that I already have? Could I just wait to make investments at better prices? Or should I just be a buyer? And literally, those two other things are better than being a buyer right now. Either waiting or being a seller. If we're talking about it on like a probabilities game. Yeah, I think I'm going to start saying I'm a streamer or something. I don't know. I need to say something else. Maybe I'll say something boring like IT. Streamer is pretty bad as well. Yeah, that's probably not a good answer either. You're in IT, it makes you laugh. Yeah, but when you're in IT, people probably don't ask you about your job too much, right? Because all the answers you would give, they would have no idea what the hell you're talking about. They'll ask what laptop to buy. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, but even if you say finance, you'll still get the normie question of like what to buy or sell. Like, oh, what's good to buy? Okay, right now we are looking for that full retrace down to 30. Keep an eye on 30. And keep an eye on 557 to finish that retrace on NQ. Podcaster, yeah. Very stable trend, basically as stable as it was on the way up. The problem with having like trading conversations with normies is they just don't understand the the little details, right? Like one of the questions I used to get a lot was like how much money do you need in a trading account, or like how much money do I have on a trading account, right? And I had to explain to them that that question doesn't really mean anything for futures traders, because futures traders could have like $1,000 in their account and they could be trading like $1,000,000 worth of assets. So in their head, if they're like, "Hey, how much money do you have in your account?" I'll be like, "Oh, I don't know, 5,000." They'll be like, "Wow, this guy's like only got 5,000." All right, how much do you trade? I trade 2,000,000. It's like, what the hell? How do you trade $2,000,000? You have $5,000. But they don't understand how futures contracts work, right? They don't really understand how trading works in general, but that's a good example of like what you would have to explain to normies and they just wouldn't get it. Like, imagine if you're an options trader. Good luck explaining options contracts to a normie. Yeah, all the acronyms, yeah. I should just start telling them I trade NFTs and they'll be like, "Oh, it's a scam."
turning into a little bit of a capital B on the cash profile. A little bit of a capital B on the full session as well. Large node on the bottom, large node on the top. The node on the top got trapped. And now we are kind of squeezing it out. You're not seeing great reactions on the aggressive buy side. Like as they push prices higher, the sellers get very strong. You're seeing pretty good responsive buying. The buying on the pullbacks is very good. But the buying on the highs is pretty bad. Pretty much every single high you pushed up, you tried to build a node, you had no follow through on that node every single time. Built a node, failed. Built a node, failed. Built a node, failed. Built a node, failed, right? Aggressive buyers are very weak. But all right, guys, on that note, I'm going to call it there. Like I said earlier, just keep an eye on the value retrace of yesterday. We are looking for 630 on ES. We are looking for 557 on NQ. If it holds below those value retrace levels, that becomes a major problem. Possibly squeezing out all the buyers from today that are not already squeezed out. A lot of them are probably already out of their positions. Be on the lookout, not today, but hopefully tomorrow. We will have that last video coming out. If not tomorrow, we are going to really try to push it out on Friday. I typically don't release videos on Friday, but I don't want to postpone it another week. So we're hoping Thursday, maybe later in the day, or Friday. And then we'll do the Q&A on the following Monday. If you guys are in Discord, I will be streaming in there for the rest of the day. If you guys are not in Discord, I will see you guys tomorrow morning. If you guys enjoy the stream, hit that like button. Be sure to subscribe. If you would like to support the channel, there are a bunch of promo codes going on right now. There is a promo code for 80% off on Apex. You can use code BREW, B-R-E-W. There's also an Addis code in the poll. If you take a look at the poll, I put a promo code. I think it's like 5 or 10% on Addis. And then we have a promo code for the Discord as well. It is code Black Friday 2025, no spaces. It's all one word, all caps. That will give you 40% off anything on the website. If you're looking for the annual Discord plan, the code is annual 2025, all one word, all caps. But all right, guys, that is it for now. I will see you guys in Discord. If you're not there, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace, everybody.